Back off!
Weak points exposed. Detecting weak points.
Holy shit!
Weak points detected.
What's going on, you guys? This is All-Day-One of the PS4, and I'm going to be giving you guys another Division 2 build video. So with this build video I'm going to be giving you guys is going to be, just as you've seen based off the first clip, is a CC build. CC, for those of you that don't know, means crowd control, and crowd control generally means that you're controlling the crowds. So that means using status effects such as burn, or the ensnaring, or things like blind and confuse, shock, etc, etc. Anything that prevents the enemies from attacking you because they are confused or something is what CC effects are, crowd control effects. This build is really good to use. I wouldn't recommend using this for solo play. You can, but you won't generally have enough damage output to do that. But it is very useful in team play, and I'm going to go ahead and go over each builds or each pieces of gear and talents, etc. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's go. So just an overview of the whole build itself. I'm running the gunner specialization. I have my FAMAS and MK17 or police MK17. The weapons itself doesn't really matter what you run as long as you have the certain talent on it. Whatever you're comfortable with running though. The gear itself, I have 3-piece channel lights, 2 Wyvern and Murakami on the backpack. But what I would highly recommend is instead you want to go with either Wyvern or China Lights backpack, and then have no Murakami because you don't want the skill duration. Skill duration itself does not affect the status effect duration. But anyways, you don't want to have duration. You want to actually go with the skill haste from the Hanayu Corporation. You would need to get the Hanayu Corporation either on the gloves, knee pads, or the holster, as well as having either a Wyvern or a China Lights backpack. And then for the abilities, I'm using the Banshee Pulse from the gunner specialization and the blinder Firefly, I believe that's what it's called. My build, it has 6 yellow cores and it's 15 yellow attributes, as you can see. So I'm not going to be able to put out any real type of damage, but this will allow my allies, whoever has damage type builds, DPS builds, they will be able to drop the enemies. They'll be able to just run up on them. That's what's really nice about this build, because it'll make it to where the enemies will not shoot at you. Sometimes they do if they're ensnared, but if they're confused or blind, generally they won't. So on your weapon, you want to make sure you get the talent called Perpetuation. It doesn't matter what weapon you use, whatever you're comfortable with, but Perpetuation, anytime you get a headshot, it lasts 50% longer on the enemy for status effect durations and stat effect damage. They're both increased by 50%, which is a lot. And it's only affected to the first person it hits. So if you hit the boss with a blind, that boss is going to be affected 50% longer, more than the other adds. It's a 20-second cooldown, but I would highly recommend getting this. Now for the masks, you got to make sure you have these main stats on your attributes. Well, obviously you need the core attributes, but you need these main stats. You need skill haste, status effect, and then throw in skill haste on the mod slot. If it doesn't have neither of those, if it doesn't have status effect, then it's not going to affect the duration of your what is it called, your blind and your confused. Those won't last longer on the enemies if you have no status effect. The higher your status effect is, the more it does. Now the backpack, same thing with the attributes. Everything is going to be the same from mask to backpack to everything. They all need to have skill haste, status effect, and skill haste mod slots with the skill tier. But you want to make sure you get galvanize on your backpack. Galvanize is really good because anytime you apply status effects on your enemies, it gives you and allies within 20 meters an increase in armor by 40% of your own armor, not everyone's own armor. The chest, I'm wearing Unbreakable. There are other different talents you could actually run with as well. That works really well, but Unbreakable seemed to be the one that helped me a lot. Now, what I would recommend is for anyone that is running a DPS build, that's running with someone running CC build, this build, then I would highly recommend running Intimidate. Intimidate is very, very, very good. Anytime you get bonus armor, you get 35% increase in damage. And if someone's running Galvanize, I mean, you're gonna pretty much have increase in your armor by 35% all the time. Now for the gloves, as you can see, skill haste, status effect, and skill tier. But the reason why you're gonna run the channel lights and wyvern is because on channel lights it does give you explosive damage, but that doesn't matter. You just forget about that. That's only the first piece. The second piece gives you, I believe it was called, yeah, it's skill haste. And then the third piece is status effect. Those are the two you mainly want. Same thing with the wyvern. You want to have you're not worried about the skill damage it comes with on the first piece, but it's the status effect that comes with on the second piece. Now the Murakami backpack, the reason why you don't want Murakami is because Murakami gives you 20% increase in duration. So for things like the Confused Pulse, it's not increasing the duration of the confusion, it's increasing the duration of the pulse. And while the longer the pulse is active, the longer it takes for you to actually be able to activate your pulse again. So you want to be able to have no status or no durations on your builds. Status effect is going to increase your duration. That's why you want to have either a Channel Lights backpack or a Wyvern backpack, because they come with a yellow mod slot. Now if you get a Seska backpack, that comes with the red mod slot, but the only time that would be acceptable is if that backpack came with Galvanize or some other really good talent, preferably Galvanize, and then it has to have the two yellow stats, skill haste and skill haste and status effect. It needs to come with those two. But as you can see, I'm using the Banshee Pulse, and it is a 9-second cooldown with the 13.8 second effect duration, 12-second duration. Without the Murakami, it would be a 10-second duration. 13.8 effect duration still, regardless though. And then for the Blinder Firefly, I'm at a 23.8 second cooldown and the 23.3 second duration on the blind, which is really, 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 really good. I do want to get to the point to where I can at least have like a 22-second cooldown and a 24-25 second blind duration. That would be really nice. So there's going to be other talents that could also be very viable with this build. You don't necessarily have to run Unbreakable and Galvanize, but those two are the ones that I like to use. But you can run Intimidate. Intimidate is going to give you extra weapon damage, so 35% weapon damage when you're within 10 meters of the enemy and you have bonus armor. So you're going to be getting bonus armor anytime you use Galvanize, and Galvanize works for allies within 20 meters of the enemy. And then I would also recommend the DPSs to use this chest piece though. They use this with Savage Wolverine. They're going to be hitting a lot of high numbers on the enemies, pretty much melting them, I wouldn't say melting, but doing a lot of damage, killing quick. The next one would be Overwatch. So after staying in cover for 10 seconds, you increase your damage, weapon damage and skill damage by 12% for you and your allies, as long as you don't leave cover. And you know, you can go cover to cover as well though. The next one would be Trauma. So Trauma, anytime you apply blind, or anytime you deal a headshot, you apply blind on the enemies, and it's a 30-second cooldown. Same thing with the chest. Hitting them in the chest applies bleed, which is another 30 seconds. This is also a really nice ability to go with, or talent. Then there's Galvanize, which you guys already know now because I had already pretty much explained how that one works. But anytime you apply status effects, blind, ensnare, shock, or confuse, you and allies within 20 meters gets a 40% increase of armor from your own armor. And then the last one is Wicked. So Wicked, anytime you deal a status effect on any enemy, you get an increase of your weapon damage by 18% for 20 seconds, which is a lot of weapon damage. But that's pretty much it with this video. Hopefully this helped you guys out. If it did, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns with this, then go ahead and let me know down in the comment section as well, and I will try my best to help you guys out to the best of my ability. If you have any other ideas that you would like to input on this build, what you think would make it better, let me know down as well. And if there's any other builds that you would like to see, you can also put that down in the comment section. I do have a healer build coming out pretty soon, as well as a shield build, and just keep in mind these builds are all meant for PvE content, not meant for PvP. I haven't really bothered going into like conflict or any of that, so I haven't really bothered making any PvP builds. But there are other content creators that make PvE or PvP builds. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyways, this is all Day 1 on the PS4. Have a good day, good night, and peace.